the Fosterdaddirective podcast. My name is Charles, and in today's episode, we'll be talking about respite. In case you don't know what that is in terms of foster care, it's essentially when any of the kids you have go and stay with another foster family. It may be for a short period of time, an extended period of time. If you are putting in your 30 days to have the kid removed for whatever various reasons that could cause that, generally respite will be involved in one way or another. We've had to use it both for good and bad reasons. One of our first kids we had ran away constantly. She had to go to respite, but we've also used it when we've had trips, such as we go to a summer camp for one of the podcasts I listen to, so we had to use it then, which gave the kids a break from us, got them into the care of somebody else so they could enjoy time with somebody who's not us. I mean, in 3 years, we've had maybe 8 days of time where we have not consistently had children in our care, so it can be good or bad. And that's what I'm going to go over in this episode. As always, please know that I'm not a trained professional. The views expressed on this podcast are of my own and what knowledge I have of the foster care system and experience. And I will go over some topics that relate to non-foster related parenting topics. So if you enjoy that, please stick around. No real updates on our situation as foster parents. We currently still do have a 7 and 9-year-old. Hyper is always constantly bouncing off the walls, always destroying something. So there's been a lot of home maintenance, such as we had those little carabiners or whatever they're called with the little spin locking mechanism, and one of the kids decided to unlock it, take it off, and destroy one of the swings outside. So I had to replace that. Thankfully, the swing that it went to was super old, and my wife had bought replacement swings for it, so I just put up the new one. Went over why we don't destroy the things we like to play with, because they were upset that they were down to one swing for like a week. Yeah, no duh, you destroyed the swing, but can't even be mad. I know I've destroyed plenty of stuff as a kid. But other than that, we were going to... The reason I decided to go over this topic is because we were going to have a respite kid for this week, but the family she ended up doing temporary respite with over Easter weekend, sorry, completely forgot what holiday was just up, ended up deciding that it would probably be a good fit, and they decided to potentially talk over keeping her for the long term. So hopefully that works out. That would be amazing. I know she only went into respite because, well, the foster parents she was with are having a biological child, so it had become too much, which is a whole different topic that I'm going to go over, because I think it's the second time we've run into this, and I think it's kind of sleazy. I know not everyone expects to have a kid, but if you're fostering and then you just bounce your foster kid because you have your own biological kid, that's a dirty move to me. I mean, you aren't required to foster, and then you have your own kid and decide to bounce a foster kid. I think that's why so many foster kids have a lot of issues where they don't feel cared for, and it's hard for them to build bonds. I know the first kid we had, that was her situation. The family was having a biological kid and decided to bounce her because she was a runaway. We ended up dealing with it for 6 months. And granted, it was hard, but also it had gotten there because she wasn't able to trust anybody. And so this respite kid we were going to take in, same situation. They were having a biological kid, and they ended up finding a THC vape in her bedroom. I think she was 14. I mean, even non-biological kids, you're going to have to deal with that whole situation. I mean, I've heard stories about the craziness my nephews have done, my sisters when they were in school, and they're in their 20s, almost 30s now. So it's not like this is specific to respite kids. So if you're going to foster and plan on having your own kid, at least plan ahead and try to go back from fostering. I don't really know how to say it, but plan ahead. Make sure you are taking that time to either have a lower number of foster kids, you shouldn't have multiple if you are actively trying to have a kid, or just stop fostering in general. Don't bounce a kid because you found out you're pregnant. It's dirty. I don't like it. It feels honestly sleazy to me, as I said. But so to get back on topic, the topic of respite, this is generally temporary or extended breaks. As I said, could be when we go on a vacation out of state. We've gone to Nashville, that summer camp. Well, kids can't go to the summer camp, but Nashville, we can't, for the most part, take foster kids. It's a lot of signatures from biological parents, judges. You're just, it's a huge ordeal to get kids out of state. And then you have to worry about the stress of if anything happens to them, hospital visits, paperwork, anything, number of things. So it is a huge stressor to try to take kids out of vacation until you enter guardianship or adoption. Then it's a lot easier, but respite allows for you to take those trips because in 3 years, like I said, we've had maybe 8 days where we haven't had at least one kid in our care. So everyone needs breaks every once in a while, especially when with foster care it comes with a lot of kids who are very traumatized, high needs. I mean, the two that we got right now, ADHD, we're thinking one might have autism. If not autism, maybe some sort of mental disability, like limitation, because her sister does have that, as I've talked to one of the other foster parents. So it's a lot. Like even they're on spring break now, I've netted maybe 3 hours of sleep a day. So it can be extremely exhausting. So it's always good to get a break. It's not like you're giving them up permanently when you do respite. Respite's not a bad thing. It can be for bad times to either get a break and reset for the whole family, give time for decompression for both the parents and the kids, kind of mix things up, allow for children to see how other households operate, maybe see how rules are in them households, how they do dinner, how it just things in general work. Because if their first placement is your home, they can come from having no rules whatsoever. So you even placing the smallest number of rules makes you seem like a tyrant, and even when you don't mean to be, it can put stress on your relationship with them. So it allows for them to see, hey, other families have rules too. Maybe my parents aren't even being that harsh. Because, I mean, from what I've heard, we are definitely not the harshest foster parents out there. We kind of are in the middle and still trying to figure stuff out. Like I said in the past, we don't have any biological kids, so it's one of those things where we're learning how to best help these kids. It also allows for them to do potentially other activities in a different part of the state or city you're in. It gets them out and about. I know when we've taken foster kids, there was one we took for about a week and a half, I think. We took her up camping at our seasonal, took her out. We did, I think, some museums and different stuff such as that. She helped my wife with her bakery. So it got that kid out of their home, and it was because the family had gone on vacation out of state. So she was able to do a bunch of different stuff, and actually saw my wife later on at the farmer's market, and they were able to interact and say hi to each other. So it wasn't a bad situation, thankfully. And like I said, trips out of state require judge and bio parents to authorize. In state is a lot easier. We plan on going up to the UP for Father's Day weekend and going to a bunch of the waterfalls, different places up there. So that you don't really have to get any authorization for that. You do let the worker know, I'm going up to the UP. We're staying overnight. We're staying in Airbnbs, making sure they're safe, proper accommodations for housing, stuff such as that. it's a lot easier to stay in state. That's why traveling, we've done trips over to Detroit to visit one of my friends. We've done trips up to my dad's, our seasonal. In state is extremely easy in comparison to out of state. And so respite is one of the biggest tools for foster care. It's essentially if you had family members and have them take them. For our trip out of state, for the summer camp one, we actually have Cassie's friend end up taking them. So it's one of those things where they get to stay with her. We know that they're safe. In other foster care homes, they're obviously safe too. All the licensing that is involved, all the checks, contact, all that ensures that they are safe. But one of my friends was talking about they had somebody else's kid, and I think they ended up swapping the kids. Like their kids were staying with somebody else, and they had their kids, which is actually a pretty ingenious idea to me, because for the most part, kids around people they don't quite know as well as their parents generally tend to act a bit better. It still can be wild. Our kids act crazy around anybody, but that's pretty ingenious, because if you say just want a break from your kids for the day or want to get them out and about, say you have a friend who has kids, just swapping the kids and doing something with them, because it'll give you an opportunity. Because kids love their parents, but I didn't want to be around my parents 24/7 when I was a kid. It was extremely exhausting mentally. So I always loved going places. And so if you're looking for an idea and you're not a foster parent, look into something like that. Having them stay with family, friends. If you're trying to find different things you can do with them, give them money to take them out somewhere. If you have any ideas on situations such as this or different tools, I know babysitters, that's a hard one, because there's always the fear of if they're being appropriate with your kids, if they're trustworthy, if they're not going to burn your house down. It's hard to know who you can and can't trust with your kids, especially in this chaotic world. So if you have any tools, what do you do to send your kids somewhere? Do you have people you trust, people you don't trust? What do you look for in people you trust or don't trust? What are warning signs? Send them over. As always, I want to thank you for listening. Please like, subscribe, and share. Rate me if you can. It would definitely help. I don't really have any ratings besides some from my family. You can email me as always at fosterdaddirective@gmail.com with any feedback, ideas, or stories, such as the ideas on tools for non-foster parent respite, essentially. So let me know. And as I stated in one of my posts, I haven't quite gotten it up yet, but I am streaming to Twitch and Kick now. So if you want to interact and put out ideas, let me know. I record it, and then once I'm done, can interact, do Q&As, stuff like that, talk about future topics. So thank you for stopping by. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your week. Bye.